Can you hear me? Okay. Good morning again, and thank you for joining us on this gorgeous day. Wow, we couldn't have ordered a better one. I'm Tim Hackman. I'm the Green School District member of the Fairfax County Park Authority Board, and on behalf of myself and my colleagues, I'd like to welcome you to this reopening of the Colvin Run Mill Reel and Flume and our first grind of the season. For the many of you who have joined us for this social distance event, thank you for your interest in this wonderful accomplishment and small return to normalcy. For our mutual safety, I please ask you, as I see most of you are doing, to continue to wear your masks, to stay 6 feet apart where appropriate. And for those who have been unable to attend this fully subscribed reservation-only event, we are going to be offering a live stream of this reopening rededication. So let me begin first with an introduction of our speakers. We have Jane Edmondson, who is representing Grainsville District Supervisor John Faust, a stalwart supporter of the park system, who had a conflict today and is unable to be with us. Joining us as well is Sarah Baldwin, Acting Director of the Park Authority, and from the Friends of Colvin Run Mill, Dan Dyke, back there in the back, who's their president. We hope to also have us, We hope also to have State Senator Barbara Favola join us later on today. She represents portions of Arlington, Fairfax, and Loudoun counties. Other guests I'd like to acknowledge are, we're delighted to have in the audience Kelly Hummer, who's a distant relative of the Millers, who owned and operated the mill from 1883 to 1934. That's a special treat for us. Margaret Boardman, his mother, I think, was Emma and Addison Miller's granddaughter. So one of my colleagues today, my Sully District colleague, Maggie Godbold, her husband Steve, Carol Herrick with the Fairfax County History Commission, Stephanie Leadham, who's the director of the Park Authority's Planning Division, Mike Henry, a long time but recently retired manager of the Colvin Run Mill site, acting site manager Sarah Overcook, Sarah, and Terry Tomasolo, who's a former site employee. So Dr. Martin Luther King said of our past, we are not makers of history, we are made by history. While I agree, I do like to think that we have the power to influence the course of history, to celebrate accomplishments of our ancestors, ourselves, and hopefully generations to come. Just like the machines we regularly demonstrate here to visitors, there's a continuum of action at the mill. Following from a Park Authority blog written several years ago, the author recalled that when this site was first opened to the public in 1972, it was the culmination of over 4 years of exhaustive preservation and restoration efforts. Thanks to the hard work and craftsmanship of many individuals, the mill proudly featured an operational pair of millstones capable of grinding grains. At that time, it seemed like an ending, but once again, it was another beginning in the continuum of preservation and restoration and interpretation. Over the years, we've seen tremendous progress here. Functioning grain elevators, wooden line shafts, grain cleaners, and product sifters. This fully restored mill now stands as a living testament to America's industrial infancy, all the while producing wheat and cornmeal flour as it did over 200 years ago. And now finally, we once again can produce grain with a fully restored and beautiful, I have to add, flume and water wheel. This celebration may mark the completion of this project, but we would be remiss if we did not recognize today's reopening of the flume as yet another step in the progression of historic restoration and preservation. It is our mission and our duty, but it's also our privilege. Let me introduce our first speaker this morning. As I noted, Supervisor Faust is not able to be with us, but he sends his congratulations to his Chief of Staff, Jane Edmondson. Jane is well known to the Park Authority and to all in Gainesville District as a doer, someone who can accomplish a lot. So we're delighted to have her here. Jane, it's all yours.
Thank you, Tim, for those kind remarks. What a beautiful day, as you said, to be here to celebrate this event. And I don't know about you, but this is the first in-person event for the county that I've been to in, I guess, 14, 15 months. So it couldn't be a nicer. This is to all of you for allowing us to come out. And thank you also for allowing me to step in for Supervisor Faust, who does have another event, but he wanted me to come and share his enthusiasm, support for Colvin Run, and his excitement and the completion of this wonderful renewal, a project that simply had to happen to keep this site relevant. I'm sure you know that May happens to be National Preservation Month, and the Colvin Run Mill is a shining example of what the preservation and restoration of history is all about. The Park Authority began the celebration of May with a virtual tour of the Stenson House, which is one of the homes in their resident curator program. And today that celebration continues with the opening of the Flume and the new water wheel, which is exquisite. Established in 1973 by the National Historical Preservation, the event, May, is co-sponsored by local preservation groups, state historical societies, businesses, and civic associations across the country. And during the month, many events are planned to promote historic places for the purpose of instilling national and community pride, promoting historic tourism, and showing the social and economic benefits of historic preservation. Thousands of people are doing what we're doing, participating annually in Preservation Month celebrations. I want to thank the project team under the direction particularly of able project manager Heather Lynch. Heather? And also one person who was instrumental in getting us here, and that's Ben Hassett, the gifted millwright who gave everything he had to get this project done, and doing so 45 days ahead of schedule. In an interview that he gave in 2016 with the Courier Journal, he said, quote, "Grist mills are the only places you can go to see giant gears. They are great educational tools," end quote. And we should add that in 2015, his company received the Harry W. Mellon Award of Excellence for his work at the mill. I have no doubt that his latest work will be award-worthy as well. I've mentioned the importance of preservation, but I want to mention the value of groups such as the Friends of Colvin Run Mill. They have a legacy of giving more than we can ask, of providing support that tax dollars simply cannot do on their own, and of putting in countless hours of time and effort to make this endeavor successful. Inspiration comes in many forms, and nonprofits are making a tremendous difference in terms of volunteerism and philanthropy. Simply put, there is something wonderful, such a good feeling when we give back to the community, when we give back to a greater good. Actress Audrey Hepburn, for those of us who are old enough to remember her, noted, quote, "As you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself and one for helping others." And conversely, for the younger folks in the crowd, Dr. Seuss wrote, quote, "Unless someone like you cares an awful lot, nothing is going to get there better. It's not going to get better. It is not." End quote. So again, on behalf of Supervisor John Faust, I congratulate all of you who are involved in this project and wish you many happy milling days in the future. Thank you.
thank you, Jane, for your remarks and for the ongoing support from Supervisor Faust and yourself for our parks. Our next speaker embodies the tenets of public service. In her multifaceted and long tenure as Deputy Director of the Park Authority, she has provided solid leadership for the staff, ensured quality operations, and resolved problems during the best and most challenging of times. As you can imagine, last year has been one of the latter. So please join me in welcoming, who is appointed Acting Director for her talents, Sarah Baldwin.
Thank you for the kind words, Tim. Good morning, and thank you for joining us here today for the celebration. Today is a great day, one of many great days here at the mill. Although the last year has been extremely challenging, celebrations like today remind us that there'll be many great days ahead. This project was approved by the Park Board in May 2020, utilizing park bonds approved by the community. They moved forward despite the pandemic, recognizing that we must maintain this valuable county resource. I want to commend the project team for making this happen. Heather Lynch, project coordinator, Sarah Oberthur, acting manager here at Colvin Run Mill, who serves as acting manager while also maintaining her duties at Lake Fairfax Park. And then, of course, our miller, Steve Grobach, for his service to the Colvin Run Mill. We are extremely fortunate in the Park Authority to have dedicated staff and volunteers, and this is just one example of the work that they've done. The plan for this project was relatively simple, although we found recently that nothing is simple. The plan called for sourcing and purchasing the wood needed to fabricate the new park, fabrication of the wheel and flume, removal of the deteriorated parts, and then finally installation. Work on this project began in the second quarter of 2020, and here we are today, despite a significant road project, lack of water, and all the safety measures that were required to keep the site safe while the work was occurring. This project was delivered on time and on budget. I'm also proud to report that the staff estimate that the new wheel and flume will save the Park Authority about $6,000 in maintenance costs a year. It's a feel-good story that I'm very happy to be a part of. Let me close by thanking the supervisor and of course Jane for their ongoing support of the Park Authority, the Friends, and of course the staff. And let me assure you that the Park Authority is on a return to a new normal. Our rec centers are operating safely, our golf courses are performing better than ever, summer registration is in full swing, and preparations for the summer concert series are well underway. Thank you for joining us for the visit today and celebration, and thank you for your ongoing support of the Park Authority.
Thank you, Sarah. Let me just do a quick diversion here and mention, Sarah mentioned the Route 7 project. One of the benefits that the park will be obtaining from the Route 7 widening is there's going to be a tunnel under Route 7 that will connect this section of the park with the south section of Colvin Run Park. And that park, you can walk from Colvin Run the whole way up to Lake Fairfax through Colvin Run Park. So it's a great connectivity for the park system and for area residents. So as Sarah mentioned, the past year has been a time of unprecedented change for the Park Authority staff to stare the challenges down and kept moving forward. PSO applied a different perspective to the concept of challenge, saying, if you aren't in over your head, how do you know how tall you are? Well, clearly it's been a year of ascertaining height in the Park Authority and many other agencies and departments in Fairfax County. For many months during our closure, And even after we began to reopen in ways to help keep customers, staff, and volunteers safe, there was little opportunity for service from groups like the Friends of Colvin Mill. But we continue to come back, and every day we seek a new chance to reopen somewhere, or to provide virtual services, or think outside the box to keep the public engaged. In large measure, we depend more than ever on our friends groups, non-profit organizations such as the Friends of Colvin Mill. I encourage you to look at their website and read their newsletter to get a sense for all the things that they do to support the mill and ultimately the Park Authority mission. For these individuals and their leadership, it is about much more than providing dollars to support the mill. It's about grants and donations that brought the original furnishings from the Miller family back home here. It's about bookmarks to the store and a refreshed web presence, and even the purchase of a new freezer to store grain before it's sold. Our next speaker represents this engaged and supportive group of individuals. Please welcome Friends of Colvin Mill President Dan Dyke.
Hello, everybody. So I was here yesterday getting ready to set this up, helping out whichever way I could. And I started thinking about the lifespan of one of these wheels. So in between 1810, when the mill was built, and 1934, when it stopped its commercial operation, that's 124 years. This wheel was replaced 6 or 7 times. And each time it was replaced, it was because of financial necessity. The families that worked this mill and the farmers that lived around that depended on this mill needed this wheel. There was no choice. If they wanted to keep this business going, they had no choice but to keep the wheel in good condition. So the building pretty much was ignored from the 30s until Fairfax County acquired it in the 60s. This is the third wheel since Colvin Run Mill Park was first opened to the public in 1973. You can imagine that the replacement of one wheel, let alone 3, is not it's not an inexpensive project. In fact, it's outrageously expensive to do. So I am so grateful to Fairfax County Park Authority for having the foresight to make the investment in our history, for understanding that the public recognizes touchstones to our past like this mill, and going to the expense of replacing this wheel and flume. I look at the wheel and I'm in awe of the craftsmanship that our millwright, Ben Hassett, put into this. And I'm also amazed at the dedication of the mill staff that maintain this site every day. So this may be the 10th wheel ever to grace this mill. But knowing how much the visitors to this site appreciate it, knowing how much the volunteers who donate their hours to support this mill love this mill, I have confidence it will not be the last wheel. Long may it turn.
Thank you very much, Dan. I had the opportunity to talk to Dan shortly before the wheel completed its punch list, and when it was substantially complete. And it was actually fascinating to learn about why the particular wood was selected, or where the trees had to be harvested in a forest so that they would grow with compact cells and be sturdy and long-lasting, and how they were commercially dry rather than having to dry for 2 years. Fascinating process and a wealth of knowledge from this world-class millwright. Dan, thanks again, and thank you to all the friends who contribute so much and who were in attendance today. Unfortunately, it looks like Senator Cavolo will not have a chance to talk to us today, but as we wind down this formal part of our ceremony, and Dan and others referred to it, if one looks at Colvin Mill holistically, it's almost like taking a mini MBA course. You get, you don't just learn about the machinery and the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics aspects that are incorporated in how it works, but you learn about land development and infrastructure and economics and transportation and distribution systems and power sources and supply chains. It's just amazing if you look at it as a whole. So it can teach a lot, both from the micro level as well as the macro level. So I think in that context, it's strictly appropriate now to again thank the staff members who made this Wheel and Flume project a reality, and those who make the mill a living history, as well as the site staff and the Public Information Office from the Park Authority who helped coordinate this event. And now I want to ask our miller, Steve, to be able to get ready to open the sluice gate and let the waters run. We'll do a countdown. He's out of view inside, but when you count down for him with the understanding that once he releases the lever, the sluice gate is at the far end of the flume. It'll take a little bit of time for the water to get down to the wheel. But once it does, and after the wheel starts turning, I'd like to ask our speakers and other invited guests to join us for a photo opportunity here at the wheel. And after the photos, then we can all head around to the entrance joint staff to watch the first grinding. Again, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate your attendance. So, ready? Here we go. Counting from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open the gate. Hey!
Nicely done, Tim.
Thank you. How are you? Didn't get a chance to say much. Hi to you up there.
You'll get this